Diane, I'm listening to a podcast, Black Lodge Trivia Night. I've never heard so many game aspirations in my life.
All right, welcome back to Black Lodge Trivia Night. This is Art, and as you can see, once again, we are doing a solo session. Matt and Patrick can't be here. They've been doged. They were let go this morning and kind of not over it yet. And hold on, I just got the email. Their firing was a mistake. They've been asked to return immediately, and hopefully we can get them back on the next recording session. We'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, so we're going to do a little more of the One Ring Tales of the Strider. And yeah, what that means is we're doing a little Strider mode for the One Ring. And if you remember last time, I'll bring up the correct map, sort of a weird session. It was basically sort of getting back into the swing of things, combined with going through a fellowship phase. Basically, it's stuff I had never done before. And one of the things I definitely screwed up was, again, I think I went over this at the end of the first cycle. I meant to meet back up with Gilrain at the Forsaken Inn, which is in this ballpark. Maybe it's here. We'll move it one over. It's between, the Lone Lands and the Bree Lands, and in not paying attention, the Forsaken Inn, the last bridge, it all sounded the same, because I was sort of like, oh, well, maybe I'm just went to the last bridge, but then I looked at the last session of the first cycle, and I had a whole thing where I was sitting in an inn, so while I put myself way over here, I meant to be way over there. So when I started this back up, I was like, you know what, let's retcon that, let's sort of redo that meeting, and we'll do it at the last bridge. A bit of a dangerous territory, you can see the brown right around it, and you go into the Troll Shaws, which are definitely, I assume, a tougher area. But yeah, so basically what we did is we went through the fellowship phase. I did some leveling up, because again, you get to spend a few points. You get 3 points per session. So I don't think I'm going to give myself 3 points of like adventure points and skill points. I'm not going to give myself 3 points for the last session. I was just sort of doing my thing. So, but yeah, as part of the session, I gathered rumors and I pondered, storied, and figured maps. Now that's going to give me a bonus of, what is it? You get a +1 to all feat die rolls made to determine the nature of events during the event resolution step of a journey. So I'll have to remember that. I'll probably forget. The gathering rumors, I guess I didn't put a description down. Did I put it somewhere else? Let me see. Basically, what I recall is that, the Midgewater Marsh green eerie fire starting to appear in the ruins of the marsh. So at night, people sort of can see from a distance, in the ruins that are, peppered throughout the marsh, these green flames are starting to appear. So that's the rumor. Let me see if I can just quickly copy and paste this. I'm curious if I can do it here, just so I don't forget. I think I remembered one thing is that I needed to create different versions of each as blanks, and I didn't do that last time. But yeah, again, I got Gather Rumors for free because I am a Strider or a Ranger, one of those, a Warden. Anyway. So when we last left it, I was at the Forsaken Inn. I'd recuperated. I had done my fellowship phase. I think I had taken care of all my shadow points. So I think I'm basically good to go. I hope. And we left it that a messenger from Gilrain appeared at the Forsaken Inn. So let's now do... Nope. You can see all the different things I pulled in over time. I thought I pulled in... I guess it would be here. I didn't think it would be here, though. I thought I pulled in like a tavern, but not a battle map tavern. Like, here's a battle map tavern, but I thought I had like a Man, I don't even know where it would be. Oh, location prancing pony. Yeah, so maybe I use this, for a couple different, like I was just sort of using this in general. You know what? We'll just go with the other one. So again, these are Lion Banner. I can't remember if it was a Kickstarter or if it was I just purchased them, but or if it's an actual Foundry module now at this point. So here I am. Can I bring myself over? Yeah. So say we're at the Forsaken Inn, and yeah, let's say, I don't know. We'll say somebody comes stumbling in. No, it says Oswin. That might be from another adventure I was running when I said I was running this for another group. But let's just say the messenger comes in, finds me. I'm mostly recovered, and maybe, having been inspired by my time by the last bridge, the camaraderie, I've actually sort of opened myself up a little bit. Even though I'm a ranger, I'm a warden. I should say a warden. And, a ranger, yeah. I sort of gotten used to sort of keeping to myself, a ranger of the north. But, I'm willing to get to know some of the travelers as I recuperate. And, maybe during this time, I do a couple of, patrols, because again, it's in an area that's starting to get toward the edge of somewhere a little precarious for travelers. So as part of my time here, I do some patrols around the Forsaken Inn, but overall it's mostly, and maybe I help hunt, bring some food in, stuff like that to help cover my way here. And but yeah, so the person finds me, the messenger finds me, and says, I bring greetings from Gilrain. She has made it safely to Rivendell, and she thanks you for the services that your vigilance and your report. She's bringing the information to the elves now, to Elrond in particular, and hopefully heads or tails can be made of what you saw and the black speech that you recovered. So, I nod, and I sort of course, I'm happy to oblige, but I have a feeling you wouldn't have traveled all the way out here just to, extend thanks that, Gilrain extended herself when I was speaking with her in person a few weeks ago. And he's like, of course, no, there's been developments. We don't know exactly what's going on with the black speech, and with that, let's go to a table. Let me see if I created a table for... So every person has a random events table of missions, and I think that's what this is, so I'm just going to roll it and see what happens. Okay, a settlement has come under the eye of the shadow. Why is this place significant? So there's a couple things we can do. Again, we have, let's see, roll town. I want to see something really quickly. I thought I was watching somebody do a playthrough of this, and they had, I wish I could remember who it was. I'll see if I can put the link in the show notes, but there was a macro that they had that rolled the telling table, but it did it in a way that made more sense than mine. That was homebrew. So I don't know if this person, if they created their own and were just much better at coding than I am, or if there was an actual macro that I'm missing. Progression, change region. Let me just double check real quick, because I just want to make sure. Macros in English. What do we got? Hate, hide, manual dice roll. Yeah, these don't look like what he was using. So basically, the way their table worked, I'll show you the way my table works, because my table is a little messy. But, are there Strider mode role tables? Is there anything specific there? Or did I make those? These might be mine. Okay. So the way mine works is a little sloppy. It's, certain, likely, middling. So basically, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for Gilrain, which I just did, but telling table. So what I did was a 1 through 10 certain yes. So basically I have to decide beforehand, and I got confused in the first cycle. I have to decide, is it certain, likely, middling, and then the yeses will pop up. But the way the one I saw worked was it would bring up a dialog box and say, what is it? Is it certain, likely, middling? And you would click that. That would trigger the roll and then give you just a clean yes or no, not like, okay, mine was uncertain, so it's not on the list of yes. So mine requires a little backward thinking. So I'll have to try and remember to put that in the show notes and try and figure out where that came from. Maybe the person playing it states it at some point, so maybe I should double check. Okay, so I want to have the telling table ready to go because I might need to answer some questions. What's the lore table? Basically, I wanted to roll the table that gives you some words. Excuse me. So let me just double check. The patron quests. The lore table. So, okay. So that's what we're looking for, is the lore table, I think. So for the lore table, we got find, fierce, honor. You know what? Let me get a little pen and paper out. I think my wife was using my desk for something, and I think she walked off with my notebooks, but that's okay. So we've got settlement, under the eye of shadow. Okay. And why significant? Okay. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out, so we've got find, fierce, honor. Okay, so there's some words we got to work with. Now what I'm going to do is, remember, I'm going to bring up this, and I'm going to bring up settlement. I wonder what this would sound like. Man-made edifice, no. Quick settlement name generator. Thornmount. Okay, we'll call the settlement Thornmount. At some point I need to play Ironsworn. And I don't know if you could adapt Ironsworn to like other settings, but the place oracle, let's try that. Let's try location descriptor. It's grim. Okay, let's try the location itself. It's in the foothills. Okay. What else? Region? What does that give us? Veiled Mountains. We might not be able to use that, but let's take a look. Now, settlement oracles. We got the name from there. Let's see, settlement trouble. Families in conflict. Okay. What's settlement trouble ironsmith? Territory dispute. Families conflict. Territory dispute. So I'll tell you sort of what I'm thinking. Let's see what the corruption one is. Fear. So what I'm sort of thinking is that Gilrain's going to need some time in Rivendell to, explore what I brought to her the first time. So I don't know if this is going to be literally tied 100% completely, like as a, continuation of what happened in the first one. We're not going to maybe necessarily go back to what we were investigating at first, because at the moment I have nothing to work from. So we're going to sort of spin off this new thing. And so let's see what we got. So we've got a settlement called Thornmount in the foothills. Let's see, Veiled Mountains. Okay, so let's start looking at the map here and start figuring stuff out. Okay, so where are we going to have some foothills? We have foothills here in the Weather Hills. We just came from there. Is there technically anywhere else we can go just to make it a little more interesting? We don't want to go into the Troll Shaws. That sounds crazy. Well, maybe this is sort of our beat. Maybe somewhere on this side of the Weather Hills, we'll say there's they're talking about mountains. Is it up here near Anuminas? So let's do this. We'll do this. We'll sort of like flip a coin. The South Downs. I feel like in the South Downs, it's like, well, the Barrow Downs are down here, but in the South Downs, would there actually be anything there? Here's where my total lack of geography, lore knowledge, all of it, doesn't make any, I don't know any of this stuff, so. Okay, so let's give it a shot. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to do Weather Hills is a 1, South Downs is a 2, and then out here, Evendim will make a 3. I'll roll a 1d3. Let me see. /1, 1d3. Okay, so because I just forgot, 1, Weather Hills, 2, South Downs, 3, Evendim, Anuminas, that general area. Got a 3. So we're heading up to this area up here. Now, the thing that's Veiled Mountains, we won't worry about that too much, maybe. So we'll worry about what's going on in the foothills of Anuminas. Now, interestingly enough, when I was running an adventure for the other group in the AA Cabal, well, whatever. This is where it took place. So I don't want to just crib from what I did too much. But yeah, so, the messenger mentions that, in the foothills, in the North Moors, north of Hobbiton, maybe southwest of the ruins of Anuminas, there are still small towns. In fact, isn't there a town? Let me look. Again, a lot of what I know is from Lord of the Rings Online. Now, they have a town between Hobbiton and Evendim called Trestlebridge. So I wonder if Trestlebridge, let me just look that up. Because if that's, let me make sure that's like a real, and then maybe that's the town. Maybe something's going on in Trestlebridge. Trestlebridge? Nope, can't spell. Lord of the Rings, okay. Okay, so Trestlebridge is a city north of Bree, so maybe I had it wrong. Maybe it was connecting the Bree land with the North Downs. Where's the North Downs? Oh, for some reason, I guess it's this way. Yeah, so that's not going to work. I thought it was over here more, but okay. Okay, so we'll say, can't even read my own writing. Thornmount. Okay. Okay, so Thornmount is over here somewhere. So he's like, yeah, we're getting reports of something's going on. We're getting word that there's a dispute going on in the town of Thornmount. It seems like it could be internal, but given its proximity to the ruins of Illuminas and, other rumors of maybe like trolls and things, spottings in the hills around Evendim, it might be worth taking a look, especially since, if I'm remembering correctly from the actual book, there's a place over there, there's like, there's sort of like little villages and stuff of people that just sort of basically keep to themselves. In the book, they describe the forgotten hamlet of Eskerdale. So it's a village of men hidden deep in a deep valley in the northeastern slopes of the hills of Evendim. So we're sort of going to pattern Thornmount after that type of thing, like these villages of men that are sort of pocketed in the hills around Lake Evendim. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to need to journey out there. So, and as you can see, like, I don't know what the story is. I'm literally making it up on the fly, which I think mostly did last time as well. Because I truly want to put the sort of random DM-less gameplay through its paces. So it might be a total crap story, but you're going to see this come together, on the fly. So just seeing how long before my voice goes. Okay. So first things first, we're going to have to do a journey. And one of the things that I've learned since last time when I was running for the other group is that you can create a journey. So what I'm going to do, let me do a create folder, Strider, journey log, and we're going to create a journey. So now when you do that, I'm going to call this cycle 2 journey 01. Now, if I were better about this, so it can sort of plug in the things. It's, I guess it would be the summer. I don't know if the year is correct, but let's just say for whatever reason it is. And so what you can do is, let me see if it'll import the company. Yeah, so roll. So remember in Strider mode, a couple things that, like, there is no role assigned, but if you were playing with a group, you could assign players to that. It can roll events, except I don't think it has the Strider mode events built in, but it can do the group event. So it can populate that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this out for just a second, because then what you do is you sort of can take a screenshot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screen. I don't know if this will fit. We'll take that as a screenshot. And then what you can do is you can grab it. Let me see if I have a place for it. It's not systems. You're going to see my whole mess of everything. Let me see. Graphics. Do I have Middle Earth? Sometimes I put a lot of stuff in the wrong place. So, logs. There we go. Okay, so we're going to choose file. And you're going to see all my stuff here. I think what I need to do, though, is I need to... Actually, I don't know if I can do this. Give me one sec. What I need to do is I need to create... a file. Now we'll call this save as. We'll call it a JPEG. And I'm going to call it desktop. I'm going to put it in a new folder. Okay, so we're going to save it here. We're going to call it Cycle 02 Journey. Again, you can't see this because of how I'm recording. 01, it's not recording my screen, it's recording a specific window. Okay, so we're going to choose File. We're going to go to Desktop, Logs. Okay, now let's see if this works. So there we go. So as you can see, it puts sort of the journey. And what you're supposed to kind of do is you're supposed to sort of draw it. So that's why the picture that you were just seeing had drawings all over it. So what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to sort of literally draw the path. So in our case, what we would do is we're going to travel down the road. We're going to go to the Brandywine Bridge. Do we go to Hobbiton? Or do we hit the Brandywine Bridge and follow the river north? Or is it better to go to Hobbiton and then follow that into the North Moors? I think we're going to do that. I think we're going to sort of follow the path to Bree, to Hobbiton, and then from Hobbiton we'll figure it out. Because I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty safe path. So, again, so with journeys, Strider mode's a little different because you don't assign a specific role. And I will say it's been a hot minute since I've done this. Journey events, okay. So one thing is I have to remember we get a +1 to +1 to all feat die rolls made to determine the nature of events. So I think nature of events, a feat die, of course, is just a D6. So when you're doing the nature of events, maybe that's a specific table to see what's going on, and higher is better. During the event resolution step of a journey. Okay. All right. So, first things we have to do is we're going to have to roll our... It is our travel. So, you know what? I'm just going to bring this up in the book real quick just to make sure I sort of got it. Because again, it's been a hot minute since I last did this. Index, journey. So we're going to start with rolling our travel skill, and then that's going to start to determine how many days we go before an event happens. So we've set the journey path. We've basically done that. Make the marching rolls, and then yeah. Okay, so one thing is, I think last time I was talking about, like, there was errata and blah, blah, blah. This is now this is the third printing, so hopefully most of the errata is sort of checked off. So if there's something here, I thought there was something here specifically. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to roll a travel check. Failure, missed it by 1. So as you can see, we rolled a 7 on the feat die and then a 5 on the D6s. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this out. And we need to okay, so now depending on the season, If the trail event occurs 2 hexes away. So we're going to get 2 hexes before an event occurs. So now what you do is you go to the solo journey events table, and you can roll, and I think I have that somewhere. Although at this point there's so many... A mishap, okay. If the roll fails, add 1 day to the length of the journey and gain 1 additional fatigue. Okay. So that's the first. So even though we moved 2 hexes, I think basically if we were to pull out the ruler, every hex is 1 day. So we moved 2 hexes, but it took 3 days. So maybe let's call this. You know what? We actually have the weather table. Yeah, let's roll a d10. Because again, this is from Harn, and I love it. So we rolled a 2. So we rolled a 2, so the weather's the same, which makes it spring, cold, northwest winds, and the wind force of 1 to 3. Now, 1 to 3 is not like 1 to 3 knots. You can see this table here. 1 to 3 means it's one of these, like breezy, windy, or gale. So now we roll a 1d3. So 1d6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 4 is going to be a 2. 2 is windy. Okay. So it's cold, it's windy, and maybe I start to get a little under the weather. I felt like I had recuperated in the Forsaken, the Forsaken Inn. And maybe I'm sort of, slowed down a little bit. I'm just not feeling well. And so the weather stays the same for these couple of days. So that's a 3-day trip. But remember, it said take an extra fatigue. I actually don't take fatigue. Now, I feel really bad. Somebody on one of the Discord channels, I don't know if it was the official The One Ring. Oh, or was it in the show note? In the YouTube chat. Somebody pointed out that I did something wrong. So I just want to double check. I think I took an extra something at the beginning during character creation I wasn't able to take. I am so sorry that I cannot recall. It's totally slipped my mind. I genuinely really appreciated the feedback because I want to know when I get things wrong. I think I took too many virtues. And so I think you can, or I don't know if it was a distinctive feature. Something I took too many of, and I think whatever it was that I took, you can get a new one during like a fellowship phase or when you spend some points. When you get maybe a new wisdom, when you up your wisdom, you get another one. So whatever it is, we're just going to call it even here. But yeah, Endurance of the Ranger means that I do not take, again, because it's not official, they can only tell you where it is in the book. They can't include the text. So on page 88, okay, so if you wear a suit of leather armor with no helm or no armor at all and carry no shield, which I think I check all those boxes, you never gain fatigue during a journey. So I don't have to worry about gaining fatigue on the journey. It's just going to take time. So, all right. We did the first phase of the journey. So now we're going to do... okay, so then what I could do is, let me show you this. You can pop this in. And you can do the events, and you can track your fatigue. I'll just put myself as the guide. So far, we've traveled for 3 days. We'll say it's still spring. And like I said, you can roll, and this would be a borderland. So if you had, like, as you can see, if you had the full party, it would roll and say, okay, this was a lookout. It was a shortcut. It gives you the broad strokes. And then you would roll the skill check, and then you could put in the results here, and it would track your events. So now if you do that, what is it if you just add? We had a mishap. The region was a borderland. The target was Strider. It's always going to be Strider. Lost a day. Illness. And so you can sort of put together your journey in this little tracker. And then if you wanted to sort of narrate it, this just gives you an area you can just type. If you had mounts, you could, track them here. It literally, sorry, I almost dropped my book. So we're journeying from, I should put that in, the Forsaken Inn to the North Moors. So we'll just put, because again, I think I probably blathered on about this. The point of this game is to give you an experience that you get in the book. And the experience you get in the books is sort of a travel log. Right? Like amazing things happen, but it's really so much of the book focuses on getting from A to B. And so this creates, I think, a good version of that. I don't know if I was talking about this last time or if I was just talking about this off with other people. I was watching oh man, I feel so bad. There's you know what? Let me jot this out because there's a group that does everything in GURPs. And one of the things I thought was interesting, a guy over in the AAC, Sammer, pointed out this group. And he's one of the few other people I know that uses Fantasy Grounds. And I think he likes it quite a bit. And so there's a group that uses Fantasy Grounds for everything. But the other thing that they do is they use GURPs for everything. And they're running the One Ring currently right now in GURPs. And so I was like, oh, that's really interesting. We did our thing on Savage Worlds. It's been said Savage Worlds, by Duck in our Discord, that Savage Worlds is just GURPS 5.0. It's got a lot of overlap. So I was kind of curious to see it in action. And so I watched them do a journey. And I will say, watching them do the journey is what made me realize, like, there was something special about the One Ring itself. Because GURPS has so many mechanics to pull from that you can absolutely piece together like a realistic journey. Like, this is the terrain, this is the weather. So using the charts and tables, we know we can move 17 kilometers a day. And so then you roll your random, and it was very clinical. Like it very much did the traveling accurately. But I feel like this really sort of is about painting the picture and, sort of creating the sense of the journey instead of just the spreadsheet, if you know what I mean. And I don't mean that as an insult to GURPS, but it's okay. The group Fantasy Grounds and the guy doing Strider with cool telling roll. Okay. Otherwise, I'll never remember. So that's the first event, which took far too long to figure out. So I'm going to pop that back out to get it out of the way. We're going to do the next travel. You know what? I could also, I'll do it for this one. That's going to be terrible. Oh, but I got it. I got a 1 on the D12, which I forget what they call that now. I guess they call it the feat die. And then I got 4, 3, 5 on the other dice. For a total of 13, which again, I've got it set up so that the target number is a 13, well, the target number is an 18, working back from that instead of 20. So anyway. Okay, so we got a success, which means we're going to move 3 hexes. We're going to go 1, 2. We get to Bree. I check in. That's, I think I made that my safe haven. I can't recall. So, maybe in Bree, I sort of stop by, maybe I keep a room above a shop. And it's often, I'm not often there, but and the landlord, we'll say the landlord is, a Breland hobbit, and he's accommodating. So I stop in, and I take some of the coins I earned from Gilrain, and I pay, maybe a little back rent. And maybe for once I'm able to get ahead a little bit. So, and I'm like, look, you're always so kind, for once here, let me put down a little extra. So I'm not putting the burden on you. You always take some of the burden for me. Let me in this case, let me pay up a little bit extra so that it takes some of the worry off of your plate. And maybe, what do I do? Oh, I don't have to do it yet. So yeah, we take care of all that, and then I continue on my way. And this is where now we roll the event. Again, it's a mishap. Okay, obstructed path. Outcome, awareness to spot a way around. Consequence of the skill roll, if the skill roll fails, add 1 day to the length and an additional fatigue. And you can see here I would get 2 fatigue points. I don't have to worry about it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do an awareness, which is a favored roll for me. Let me see. Now there's something about Strider mode. Wandering in the wilds of Middle-earth alone hardens the spirits. Okay, so... Oh, that's what it is. If you spend a hope, you get an extra bonus. You got that inspiration going. Okay, but I'm not going to spend any hope points on this. So let's give it a roll. Nice. I got the Gandalf, which is the automatic success. So we spot a way around. So let's see if we can figure out... Because if you remember, I've got wilderness encounters. Mutiny, dissent, argument. Okay, so let's say as we're walking out of Bree, maybe there's like a cart that's been overturned and maybe somebody spooked the oxen and it's created a big mess, and maybe it's in a particularly narrow part of the road, so it's not really easy to get around. And it's not, I don't think the dispute's going to get violent or ugly or anything. So I sort of, by my leave, I figure out, like, maybe I find a little way through the brush up the side of a hill. And I didn't think it was going to sort of connect me where I wanted to go, but maybe I thought like the hills were a little steep on one side, I wouldn't get back down. But at the end of the trip, I figure it out, and I make my way back to the road. And so probably should have muted that. I apologize. So that was another 3 days. So I'm going to bring back up my journal log. So now we've done 6 days. Event 2. Strider. Called a mishap. It was in a borderland again. And it was an obstructed path. There we go. Event 2. All right. So we've done that. Now we continue to the next. And now we're going to need to... Okay, so we're going to do another travel roll. That's not great. So, okay, we're only going to get 2 hexes before we get to the... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop... So we're going to go there. Oops. And we'll go there. Now, because, we're sort of on the road, I'll sort of clear around it, but we're only going to get to go 2. So we got to be a little bit careful because we're sort of edging on Darklands. We're on a road. No, so with the road really, yeah, because this could be like the old forest, the Barrow Downs. Like, this is not a safe place to wander. I got to be a little careful here. So let us... I might do another wilderness encounter, but I might make it rural lawless night. I might make it lawless night rural. Let's see what that gives us. Farmer, etc. Okay, so we've got that going on. And now let's do the actual roll. See if it can tie together. Journey events. Shortcut. I feel like I'm doing something wrong here. No, maybe not. Shortcut, is that a table? Yeah. Awareness to recognize the landmark. So we're going to do another awareness check. Nice. Okay. So let's think about that for a second. Awareness to recognize the landmark. So we find a familiar waypoint. And so maybe we moved 2, but this is only going to take 1. Yeah, so okay, let's bring our thing in. I guess we'll say that only took 1 day because of the whoops. We'll call this event 3. Target was familiar way. Nope, Strider. Event was a shortcut. Call it a wildland. Familiar waypoint. Okay. So, and maybe, we rolled farmer. So maybe, we're from Bree. Maybe this, even though we're from Bree, we haven't spent a lot of time heading west toward, the Hobbit lands. But maybe we've encountered a farmer in our time in Bree, or maybe we've run back and forth a few times. Or maybe the farmer's one of those things like I helped him and he's like, if you're ever in this neck of the woods, look me up. And so I start to sort of get turned around. I start to sort of lose my path a little bit. But I recall, the farmer said, if I ever, I could do this, I could cut that way. And I was like, right, okay. And that sort of helps me regain my bearing and, yeah. And helps me sort of shave a little time off the trip. So there we go. Doesn't make any sense. I don't know if it makes sense. Okay, so we're going to do the next section, which is going to be, again, we're trying to get to, basically we're trying to get to Hobbiton and then we're going to try and cut up. So let's make another travel roll. That looks good. So that's a great success. So if you remember, a great success is anytime you roll a 6 on the success dice, it's sort of like getting a bonus. So normally with a success, we would get to move 3 hexes, right? But because of that success die, you get to move an extra hex for every success you get. So we're going to get to go. So again, let's bring up this. We're going to get to go bump. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just going to clear. probably too much, but that's fine. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's say this takes us to Hobbiton. We're not going to actually roll any events for Hobbiton, but it's my first time there. Obviously, I've encountered hobbits, but you know, they're not, you know, when you're walking around Bree, it's not like they're not there, but they're definitely in the minority, right? They're not just everywhere. So suddenly coming to Hobbiton and seeing like just a town full of hobbits is sort of like, it sort of takes me back a little bit, and it takes me a second to get used to. One of those things, like, you know, like I try and inquire about a place to stay for the night, but everything, you know, I'm going to do those. You know, everything, it's just sort of getting used to it, right? So otherwise, nothing really happens in Hobbiton. It's actually, you know, nice place to stay. I will say this, the One Ring, definitely the starter set. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but sometimes one of the things that initially pushed me away from the One Ring was that it felt like it was sort of like Hobbit the RPG, which obviously I'm playing a human, you know, Ranger of the North, a Warden. Like, I'm doing all these things that are not hobbits. But like the opening intro adventure in the starter set is absolutely a Hobbit adventure. And I don't know what to make of it, because like I think I've said this, in the Moria, through the doors of Durin, you know, just pull this up. Like there's a Strider campaign in this, but you're playing dwarves. Like, you have to play dwarves. So I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I don't love that, but then at the same time, like, I've got Tales from the Lone Lands and Ruins of the Lost Realm. And so I don't recall if they have Strider stuff in here, or if it's just general adventures, because, you know, I mentioned the guy who had the cool telling macro. You know, I started to watch their Let's Play, and I recognized that he was, at least from the part I watched, he was doing the starter adventure that comes in the main book as a Strider adventure, which is cool because I like the adventure, and it's definitely not a Hobbit thing. But again, I'm just doing it, so I'm making it up as I go along. But anyway, I don't know if that means the starter set has a ton of value, because again, it's very much a Hobbit adventure. I think you're required to play Hobbits. They have the pre-gens. Anyway, so here we are in Hobbiton. We've made it this far. So let's boom. Let me pop this back in, because we traveled for another 4 days, so we're 11 days. Event 4 was, let's see what they give us. Joyful Sight. Region is a borderland. Arrived in Hobbiton. Okay. There we go. All right, so let's oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Items. There we go. Let me pop that out instead. It's interesting that when I pop it out, it sort of resets this map. Okay, so let's do another travel. Ooh, Eye of Sauron. That's going to be bad. Okay, so you get an Eye of Sauron outside of combat. I think you have to up your shadow. So let me change this to a 5. Does that change that? Okay. So I've got a shadow point. Now let's see. I'm only going to get to go 2 spaces, but let's see. Okay. 11. Ooh, this is going bad. I think I get another shadow point here. Again, I think anytime you roll an Eye of Sauron outside of combat, maybe I have that wrong, but I should probably look up what these are, the distinctive features. Okay. So we're going to reveal. I go along the water. Okay. And this means I'm going to get this far. Bom, bom. Okay, so now let's roll the event detail of terrible misfortune. Stalking enemy. Awareness to spot the foul presence. Consequences of the skill roll. If the roll fails, the target is wounded. Awareness. Okay, let's give it a shot. Luckily, that's favored. So what I could do is I'm inspired because I'm going to spend a hope point. That's going to get it. Oh, thank goodness. Because if I hadn't... Oh, it was favored, so that was going to happen anyway. Because on the feat die, I rolled a 3 and an Eye of Sauron. Get rid of the Eye of Sauron, and instead I get the 3, and then I rolled a bunch. So, what's stalking me? Let's see if we can use this to tie it into the first cycle's adventure. Okay, so let's start figuring this out. Something's stalking me. Call this a rural encounter. Call it lawful knight, but it's not going to be a farmer. That's not going to help. Call it a wilderness encounter. We're getting out there. Wild stray, sheep, goats. Okay. So, nighttime, wild stray, sheep, goats, animal activities, eating, killing, grazing, foraging, hunting. So let's say we come across... Ooh. So we're walking, and in the evening, I'm going to pop this in because we moved 2 days. Pop it out for now. So, oops. We move the 2, and then, I'm going to move out of the way here. So say we're coming up here, and there's some, grasslands and things like that, and there are slaughtered sheep in the field, and I see, the sheep in the distance, and I'm like, this is puzzling. This isn't making any sense. It's the middle of the night. And I wonder what the weather is. Let me check the weather. Roll a d10. An 8 would be down 1. Okay, let's roll a 1d6. A 4 is going to be a 2, so it's going to be 1. So it's light and breezy, but it's freezing. And it's cloud cover. It's partly cloudy, so there's some moonlight. Let's see, 20 to 80% cloudy. Let's roll another d6. A 6. So we're going to say it's 80% cloudy. So it's pretty cloudy. So I'm getting traces of moonlight, and in the distance, I'm able to see there's something in the grassland. And I go into sort of Strider mode. And I start to sort of approach, and eventually I'm seeing what's lying in the fields aren't moving. And I'm starting to piece together that they look like corpses of animals. So I approach them cautiously, sort of keeping, not like right up to them first. At first, I'm sort of trying to keep some distance. There's not much cover. Let's give this a, trying to think, a stealth. I was about to say hunting, but it's not really hunting. It's a stealth roll. A failure. Okay, so I realize there's no way for me to investigate this. It's not that I failed the stealth roll, there's nowhere to hide. So if I'm going to check this out, I've got to put myself out there. And eventually I'm just like, okay, I do my best, but I don't feel 100% certain of that. And do my best to sort of make sure I'm alone. But I just like, something, the back of my neck stands out. The hair in the back of my neck stands up a little bit. And so I approach the deceased animal carcasses, and being a ranger of the north, being a strider, I've been out there, and these don't look like they were just killed by animals, like wolves attacked. These things have been, let me say this, they were not just killed by wolves. It wasn't just a predator. Like, they were like really torn apart. And I wonder if maybe, and I start to check for footprints, and I realize that I'm seeing the footprints of wargs. So the death of these sheep was much more violent than just being hunted by a wolf. These things, maybe you could argue, were hunted, but they were torn apart in the process. And then, because these are wargs, eventually maybe what I do is I find the shepherd. The shepherd was unable to defend himself against like the pack of wargs. And, and I realize some of these tracks are still fresh. And I then realize I need to be careful. Usually wargs are not coming into areas as calm and peaceful as like Hobbiton or Michael Delving, but we are getting towards the moors. And so maybe, right, because I'm actually not here, I'm here. So maybe something came down from the hills, and I think it's wargs that came from down the hills. They picked off a flock of sheep. The shepherd maybe tried to defend the flock, and it didn't go well. So, all right, so let's pop this in. We're going to call this Event 5, target again, Strider. This was a terrible misfortune, right? It's been a while since, terrible misfortune. Technically this is a borderland. The result was a pack of wargs killed flock of sheep and shepherd. Okay. Woof. Okay, so that took a turn. Okay. I think I tracked the days already. Yeah. So I think we're going to say I now get to the end of my journey, because basically I'm trying to get to... Well, do I, though? Okay. I don't know if I do, because I'm not 100% sure where this place is. So let's do another travel roll. Nice, I get a success. Okay, so that means we're going to get to go 3 spaces. Now, when you... The way I think perilous... Let's see, I just want to double check. I'm trying to see if like these areas take more to get through, but I think the only trick is when you get to a perilous area, you might roll 2 events instead of 1. I think that's what the numbers stand for. It's something like that. So I'm going to get to go 3 spaces. So let's 1, 2, 3. So let's say we stick around the shore of the lake. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reveal. Nope. Didn't mean to do that. Let's see if I can undo that. Okay, because what you want to do is you want to choose the grid tool and you want it to be reveal. Okay. So here we are. We're in a bit of a... This is getting a little tougher. So we're going to do a couple things. Let's roll the journey event. Ill choices, okay. Here we go, the ill choice roll. Disorienting environs. Explore to find your way. Consequences of the roll. If the roll fails, gain a shadow point of dread. Fatigue points too. Again, we don't have to worry about that. So we're gonna roll explore, which I think I'm, yes, decent at. I've got 2 boxes, which means I'm going to roll 2 dice, but it is favored, which means I get to keep the best of the 2 feat die rolls. So let's go ahead. And they're both terrible. Holy cow. So I rolled a 1 and an Eye of Sauron. Luckily, I get to keep the 1 instead of getting the Eye of Sauron, which would have been another shadow point. And then on my other dice, 2 2s. So it was a total of 5 when I needed a 13, so that's really bad. So 1, 2, 3. I'm only going to get to go 2. So I think let's go there. And let me undo some of these. There we go. Okay. So I get to the shore of the lake, and or maybe I'm trying to find the shore of the lake, and I'm getting turned around in the hills. So I rolled a failure, so I'm going to gain a shadow point for that. So let me up that. 7 shadow. Wow, I know I started at 4, but still, again, you got to be careful. Your shadow cannot exceed your hope. Because if it does, you, I don't know if you get miserable or if you get weary. You get one of them. I think it's miserable. And that has its own set of drawbacks. So we got to be a little careful. And, okay. So I get disoriented, and then maybe, I know I was trying to connect the wargs. When I got some of the random tables, it didn't connect to the original story. So maybe as I'm traveling through the hills, I hear the howls of the wargs, and it's way closer than I realize. And this is at a time, and maybe that's part of what makes me panic, and I sort of lose my way. I get a little out of control, get lost. But eventually I find sort of my guidepost, which in this case is, maybe I find a stream that leads to the lake, so I'm able to sort of reorient myself. And I get to the shore of Lake Evendim. So let me bring this back in. We're going to make another event. This was, again, Strider. It was ill choices in a wild land. Is this a wild land or is this a dark land? No, this is a dark land. Okay, so I gotta be careful. I gotta also be careful because of the Eye of Sauron. I don't think I've... Let me just double check. Eye awareness. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to be upping. Maybe not shadow. Maybe it's the eye awareness that's supposed to be going up every time you roll a... I'll double check that and try and correct it. Because it might be that. And if your eye awareness gets too hard, then something gets too high in a dark lens. I think it might be that, so maybe I'll try and correct that. If I'm wrong. Awareness or shadow. Okay. Because in that case, let me just make this, because I think I've taken 2 shadows, so I'll make this a 4 just in case. And let's see, the result was disorienting environs. Okay. So there we go. I guess a nice way to do this would be after you... Maybe I should replace this picture with the map after I've made the journey so you can see what I've done. I think in reality or whatever, you're supposed to like draw it out. And so if you were doing this in a group, you would actually sort of sketch the map and then sort of have to stick to that in some way where, like, even if you don't take that exact path, it has to be sort of the same number of hexes, even if it's not literally the line you take. But anyway, so that's event 6. Okay, so let's pop this out again. Okay, so now what we have to decide is, have we found Thornmount in the foothills here? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the telling table. Revelation episodes, lore table. What's the revelations? Huh. Okay, so the question is, have we found the town? The options are... Sorry, I'm going through the book here real quick. It's dumb. It's a really simple table, but it's certain, likely, meddling, doubtful. Let's say middling. I have no idea. In my mind, part of me at first was thinking, well, no, I'm just on the edge of the hills, so obviously it would get more likely as I got deeper in, but there's no reason why this encampment can't be here as opposed to here, like, you know. So let's say it's middling. Have we found the town? Nope, wrong one. We said it was middling, so no, I haven't found it yet. Okay. So we're going to do another travel. We're going to go deeper into the hills. So we're going to roll our... What is it? It's travel. That's going to be a failure. Okay. I really think I've gotten this wrong. I'll double check. Okay. So we're only going to get to move 2. 1, 2. We'll stay by the lake. Let's do it that way. The lore table, no. Journey events. Joyful sight. Does this make any sense that you would get a fail? Oh no, because the failure doesn't mean you get a bad event. The failure just means you don't get very far before the event takes place. Okay, so let me... What do we want this joyful of... the joyful sight. This is what it's going to be. We found the town. That's what it's going to be. So let me move over here. Let me see if I've got this set up right. Tiles, browser. This is going to kill me because I had this ready to go. And I don't know where I put it. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try and remember where I stuck the Here we go, tiles. And we're going to say it's right. I'll grab this one. So again, if you hold the shift key down, it gives you a little bit more freedom in where you place it. So we're going to say this is, what did I call it? Thorn mount. I hope there are people who watch this. There's definitely people in the Discord who really know Middle-earth better than I ever will. I hope you'll allow me, Thorn Mount is not a real town that's going to show up in any of the books. I hope that's okay. I hope it's forgivable that, okay, we're going to call this, because that's, and again, this was something I think I talked about in the first cycle. I get intimidated by the setting. So I don't want to, I don't know. I get intimidated by the setting. So I hope this is okay. So yeah, I'm just going to put this here. So now when you toggle the note displays, they sort of just stay on permanently. And then you can I don't really need them on all the time, because I've got the little icons. But if I wanted to, I could go here and then I could click on this journal entry and I could write down lore. Whoops, I just banged the mic. Sorry. I could write down the lore. I could put down notes about it. So, and that's probably what I should do up here. I should probably, just jot down some of the things that happen so I can refresh my memory if I ever need to. But, okay. So there we go. We made it to the town. Let me pop this back in. I think we failed that roll, so we were only able to move 2. So that was going to be a 15-day journey. Let's add one last event. And that event was, again, targeted at the Strider. It was a joyful sight in Darklands. Excellent game. Check it out on our YouTube channel. I played 17 or 18 sessions of it. Did I ever play the 18th? I can't recall. I thought I was going to do one to sort of wrap it up, and I don't know if I ever got to it. Found Thorn Mounts. There we go. So yeah, so when all is said and done, I feel like this is something, again, this is sort of what you're supposed to do in the book. I don't know if there's even something like this to print out. I don't know. But this is kind of the way a journey comes together in this game, and I've done them before, but I don't know if I had this template up and ready to go. So this is one of the great things about the Foundry's VTT, is that it provides you this template to sort of, help with, kind of a complicated bit of bookkeeping, right? If you really think about it. So what I think I might need to do is, I'll say here, like, the main thing was, encountered a pack of wargs that might be stalking me into the Northmoors. You could make it a lot more descriptive and a lot more of a journal, but for me, I'm just going to sort of do this for now, just to get the basic gist of what it was. Now, I wonder... No, I gained a shadow point. I was going to say, like... Yeah, I don't think I think I managed to pass here, so I didn't have to worry about... Okay, so I think I did everything in the ballpark of almost correct. And yeah, so here we go. We have journeyed from Forsaken Inn around here somewhere. One of these. I forget where I think I started here. Yeah, we traveled through debris. I stopped and encountered my landlord, paid up rent a little bit. Made our way over to Hobbiton, making encounters along the way. Grisly event here. Gave me some dread, some shadow points of dread. It seems like there might be a pack of wargs in the hills, sort of getting bold, heading a little bit closer towards population centers, getting a little bold. And but now they're out here in the hills as well, and maybe they're stalking me. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here. One, because I feel like this is a natural place to pause. Two, my voice is almost totally shot, and I don't know if I could talk for much longer. So there we go. We did a journey, and next time we will enter Thornmount and see if we can figure out what's going on. See if we can piece together what this conflict is, what the territory dispute might be, what these sort of story prompts can lead us to create. Yeah, and then, hopefully, like I said, I'm going to keep doing this for a little while for when the times Matt and Patrick can't make it. But I'm hoping we get a real session in pretty soon. I think we were talking about it, and I'm not 100% sure how it looks yet, but it felt like maybe it was going to lean at the moment towards coming together more than not. Otherwise, this has been Black Lodge Trivia Night. Thank you again for checking this out. Obviously, I'm Art, and I appreciate the folks that, stick with us when we do like the solo stuff like this. Hopefully you're enjoying it. I always have a great time, and I especially have a great time with this game. So yeah. The things we have going on, like when it's official, we've got Matt's Symbaroum game. We did a session 0 and got through the first session of that. We're on like the 7th or 8th session of my Cold War spy game, hoping to get that sort of into the books done, and so we can really focus on Symbaroum and then getting to what Patrick has coming up next. For the CRPGs, we've got the Lord of the Rings Online book quest playthrough, which is what always keeps me inspired to play more of this. Really gets me into the Middle-earth setting and that headspace, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm also doing Ultima 5. And I don't want to say I'm getting near the end of Ultima 5, but of the checklist of things I need to do, I feel like I've maybe done about half of them. But I'm about to hit the half that is going to be annoying, going into the underworld, progressing through dungeons, getting my ass kicked. So I might need to spend a little time off camera grinding some experience points and levels, which, again, I always said the dungeons might be what kill Ultima 5 for me, the way like certain things killed my run through of Darklands. So we'll see how it goes. But otherwise, thank you very much. Black Lodge Trivia Night. Like and subscribe if this is your thing. If you prefer audio versions, just search for Black Lodge Trivia Night wherever you get your podcasts. We should show up there. And thank you. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. The in-session music was provided by Tabletop RPG Music and composed by Ian Fisher. You can find the Patreon at www.patreon.com/tabletop RPG music. That's all one word.